Space Action Podcast with your hosts Chris Carson and DC and Shabo.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe.
The
as a whole.
MCU, as the
MCU.
kids call it.
As the colloquialism goes.
Mm-hmm.
The MCU as a whole, where it's going, where it's been, what they're doing, how it's kind of, in some ways, ruined the film industry. It's kind of driven... It has kind of driven
Changed it entirely.
It's changed it
kinda
entirely,
nuts.
and it's driven material that has real, like, substance to it, in like tackling tough issues.
Yeah.
To television, to like Netflix or whatever online streaming services are out there, and kind of because you don't go to the theater anymore to see movies that make you think. That's not worth the money. You're paying upwards of $25 a ticket now. You don't go to movies you aren't sure are going to satisfy you on some level.
Right.
It's almost like the audience has become the studios, where they're terrified of new things because a night out to the movies isn't $6.
I think you're starting to see a little bit less of it now with like just the way like Shape of Water or even Get Out are
But
starting
how
to
is that
generate.
financially, though? Shape of Water
I
specifically.
think let me check. Yeah, I think it did pretty well. But like, I mean, Get Out was a good example. Like when it came out, no one really cared, and then all of a sudden the word of mouth
Word of mouth got
spread,
out.
and then it blew up. So I think the audience is craving new stuff. It's just whenever it's so sensationalistic and waved in your face all the time, you're like, well, I guess we have to go see the new superhero one
Right.
because it's everywhere.
And it's also like you have kids screaming about it, and most of this revenue is generated from families. Not a lot of like young single people.
Yeah. And also, it's kind of interesting. Like Marvel really captured an interesting demographic where you just nailed it. Like you can bring your kid to it. You can also go on a date to it.
It's safe.
Like I know, like me and like several other people I know are in relationships where like those are date nights. Man, we're like, oh shit, we're gonna go see Ragnarok. Like,
well,
we
it's
can't
because
wait.
these movies now cost the price of going out for like an anniversary dinner.
Right.
Like you take you take your family to go see Thor Ragnarok, and it's upwards of $150.
Right.
So it's like these
You
are
just made me realize, man, those Cineplex VIP things don't exist without the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that does not happen.
It's like, but it's an interesting time because Marvel kind of like, if from a certain point of view, Marvel ruined movies.
always the optimist, Chris Carson.
Well, they've ruined movies. Like you're never
God
gonna
damn it.
see an Easy Rider released in theaters ever again.
Well,
You're gonna see it on Netflix. You're gonna see it
did
on.
you see Hell or High Water?
No.
Like little movies like that, I found like
They
they're not-
peek in.
They peek in here and there, like usually, you know, in like between November and fucking January. But like that's kind of like I find that there's still pockets of them out there, and usually it's where like, you know, there'll be like one big name in it, and some random studio will release it. But it's interesting, like they still come and go. Maybe I still think it's just like it's so sensationalistic whenever there's one specific thing. Like you said, the McDonald's of movies are coming out.
Or McMovies are now movies.
Yeah. But like
for the most part.
the audience is still looking, I think, for those little niche. It may take a little bit for them to catch on. Like maybe it takes them, they have to go to Netflix, or maybe they have to.
And I think people are getting sick of going to the theater because, quite honestly, going to the theater is hell these days because you're just full of idiots munching on their nachos.
No, the worst
and burgers.
No, the worst is every comedy show we've been to in the past like 2-3 years, every movie, some idiot with a phone.
Oh,
and they're inevitably in the the closest
just get that
to the
glow.
front. So it's just like if you're gonna your phone, go in the back.
Yeah.
Go in the back. It's cool. You can do it. Just go in the back where no one's gonna see you, dude.
Davey's back. Davey Cameo
What do you want to say?
2.0.
What do you want to say? Okay. Yeah.
Do you think like the cinematic experience is dying to be replaced with a home theater experience, especially now that technology has reached like cinema levels in homes? HD TVs, 4K, 6. Yeah? No? I don't know. I can't. I think that's a yes.
I don't think Norman Rockwell ever said that though. Right.
No, he did say that. I read.
He was
it.
anti-Semitic?
Oh boy, you have no idea.
Well, there you have it, Davy Jones, ladies and
All
gentlemen.
right, and that's the end of the podcast. Thanks for listening, guys. I think we have we summed everything up there.
Good Lord, Davy.
So I guess okay. So moving on from my wonderful glasses half empty opinion about the state of cinema complex movies that are allowed in there. We're going to be at a point soon where it's going to be all Marvel movies, or no, I'm sorry, all Disney movies. It's going to be all superheroes, and it's going to be or animated, and that's it. That's what you go to the theater for.
Right.
The theater's going to become like the circus.
Do you think that it'll encourage people, like maybe something else will come back? Like maybe they'll start doing plays again because they're cheap and easy.
I hope so.
Or maybe they'll start, independent films will come up on the rise again.
I hope so.
Like I think there'll be an ebb and flow to it,
But then also theaters are getting so panicked because Disney specifically, because they're becoming such a monopoly on the industry. They're now wanting like more and more of a percentage of the profits because usually it's 50-50. So a $200 million movie needs to make $400 million to break even because they only get 50% of the profits back and the other 50% goes to the theater. Okay. So now Disney's pushing it to be like 65 for the company and then 35 for the theater. Gotcha. So that's why we're getting only 3D showings, $25 in Canada, $25 tickets for a 3D IMAX show, right? Because the theaters need to make money. And that level of income needed for them is going to mean less and less variety is going to come to the theater because they're terrified.
They have to guarantee the money.
They got to guarantee it.
Makes sense. I mean, it's kind of weird. It almost reminds me of like what television was like in the 80s. You needed like a family with this quirk and then this thing
and a laugh track.
Yeah, and a little like subtle variations on a familiar theme. So I'm going to hold out that eventually like it'll reach a saturation point. I think we reach a saturation point.
A boiling point.
Yeah. And then eventually, I don't know. I think we're starting to see it now. Like we watched Lady Bird the other night. I dug it.
I hear that's amazing.
I dug it.
Everyone I know loves that movie.
I've never seen a mother-daughter relationship portrayed so honestly.
But I think that was released in something like around 1,000 screens, and something like, say, Spider-Man: Homecoming was released in like 30,000 screens. So it's this small market. It's sort of like the afterthought.
In terms of just storytelling, I thought it was like insanely earnest, where I was just like, oh man, these people are flawed, but like totally tangible. I don't see these as outrageous at all.
I hear
there's several parts. The main character's name is Christine. So I turned to her and I was just like, is this what it's like? And she's like, when you're a daughter to a mother? Yeah, this is exactly what it's like.
For those of you listening, Christine is DC's lady friend's name.
I mean, that was kind of implicated.
I don't know if it was.
Alright.
If you were just some random stranger listening to this, you'd be like, who the fuck did he turn to?
Christine's my skateboard.
Is that his sister? Is this his skateboard? Yeah.
I don't skate either.
Does he skate? We need answers here. Okay, so do you want to start on the most recent Marvel, or do you want to go back?
Yeah, I'll start with Black Panther.
All right, let's go. Go.
I don't know. Like what I thought. I'll tell you my experience going into it. Like I saw Civil War, and honestly, I think Black Panther was on in a couple of episodes of the '90s Spider-Man cartoon. If I remember,
he's showing up a lot now because Marvel knows we're going to put him in our animated shit to get his popularity back.
But I didn't really remember the character that well. I remember like him with a cape and stuff, and thinking yeah.
He should have had a cape.
I think the cape is coming. I think
it might have been a little too much, but I miss capes.
But I remember seeing Civil War and being like, oh cool, they're incorporating a black guy. It's about goddamn time.
He was like the center of Civil War,
which was really cool, and I loved Chadwick Boseman's performance. I was like, oh cool, they're making a standalone movie. I'm 100% in. All of a sudden, this movement starts coming out. Like 2 weeks before the movie came out, where it started trending on Twitter. People were being like, what are you going to wear to Black Panther? And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm really pissed.
Clothes? I'm going to wear clothes?
No, for the black community, this hype started to really build. It's because it started to sell out. It was the biggest pre-sale, I think, for any Marvel movie.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And I was like, what the hell's going on? And then people were like, dude, remember whenever Netflix crashed because Luke Cage came out? Same audience. Like, they're buying tickets. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize it was like a thing. And I'm so pissed, dude. I found a perfect dashiki in my closet here that I should have worn. I was so pissed. We go to the theater, and like everyone, all the women have their hair up in like African head wraps. The most black people I've ever seen, maybe ever, in Toronto. At the theater, I was like, what the fuck, dude? All the dudes were like dressed up like it was like it was insane. Like
right.
It was like a release party. Everyone was like looked like it was dressed to the T's. So we go in, and I just wasn't ready for it, man. Like within the first couple opening credit sequences, I start connecting to it because my dad's from Malawi in Africa. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I can enjoy it for this level. That's cool. And then we go into Oakland. There's a whole origin story. I'm like, okay, that's very superhero-esque. Okay, I guess.
It's also where the director's from.
Yeah. Cool. But,
Can I just interject momentarily and say the first line made me chuckle?
what was it?
Because the first line is like, an asteroid filled with vibranium came. I was like, those are some comic book words.
Yeah.
Like right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate, man. It's setting the tone.
Those are really silly sounding words
But
right out of the gate.
It was the scene, I think, that opening, and then on top of that, the scene where they, obviously, this never gets old, man. They go through the gate. I really start connecting into Wakanda. I'm starting to connect with this movie insane. I'm just like, oh my god, this is... Black culture has never really been portrayed that way. Like, empowered, where it's just like, what if there was a world where instead of everyone coming to Africa and reaping all the minerals there, what if the Africans got to use it to advance their education and technology? So there was a powerful... And, like, just the empowerment behind the idea that, like, Black people were using technology, not having it used on them. I was like, these are insane themes that really haven't been presented in a movie, let alone a $200 million fucking Marvel movie. I'm like, this is insane. Like, just, what do you call it? I was going to say, whenever he fights Killmonger. Not Killmonger, the first dude. Motherfucker. M'Baku, there you go.
He's Man-Ape in the comics.
Yeah.
And they...
I wonder why they had to change
they got
that
rid of that
one.
yeah.
Holy shit, it just rolls off the tongue. During that fight of just... He makes him yield. Right away, I'm like, this is unlike a Marvel movie. Usually he kills the first bad dude, and that's why he's awesome. Like,
he wasn't a bad dude.
In
he was
Iron
just someone
Man,
vying for the throne.
But in Iron Man, like, he F's the dude up with a flamethrower and shit. I'm like, holy shit, like, right away. Yeah, exactly. It's not
he wasn't
like...
a bad guy.
He wasn't... He was just challenging for the throne. He's like, yield.
Which is the thing I found odd.
Which is very odd.
Which is very odd.
But...
Because that literally, the panels are from the 70s comic, and if you look back at those 70s comics, they're pretty fucking racist. Okay. I found odd. Fights to the death for control of a civilization.
For entire nation, yeah.
Is a little odd.
What's his political background? I'd like to hear Mr. Manape's plan for the education system of Wakanda.
Good thing they changed that name.
And then I start to realize, like, dude, how white-centric, and not in a bad way. I'm not sitting here like, Cracker fucking stepping on my neck. Dude, I can name a ton of
Crackers do step on a lot of
necks. Especially in the film industry.
I'll be representing the Crackers for the remaining podcast here.
But all of a sudden I realized, like, every movie I love, even if it's, like, that's why I kind of got bugged with people being like, oh, what, there was a black superhero movie before? Blade. And he's like, Blade fights in California and Europe, two of the whitest places on the planet.
And then people always go to Shaft, too. That one I'm like, really?
Shaft
that's
is a
literally
man who's
blaxploitation.
Exactly. He's a black man struggling in a white man's world. That's kind of that character. What's so beautiful about this one is that, like, it's purely just about African pride and, like, the tradition, like, that hasn't ever been presented in such an eloquent way. All of a sudden the antagonist shows up and I'm like, who's this Basquiat looking motherfucker? He's like talking shop in like the museum, being like, and then he starts breaking it down right away out of the gate. He's like, did your ancestors pay for this artifact or did they just take it? And I'm like, commentary in a Marvel movie. What? Like, that's not to look like Marvel's really good at making social commentary.
They broad social commentary. Let's be fair. It's usually pretty broad in Marvel movies.
I was rewatching Iron Man just over the past 2 days. In that movie, you have a dude who's working in the shadow of his father, and both of them are just selling weapons to the Middle East to start wars, funded by a guy man who has ties to a fucking military company. I'm like, oh my god, it's the Bush administration.
Yeah, a little bit.
Holy shit.
But they do like I'm not trying to undermine it, but they do keep it broad.
They do keep it broad.
It's a comic book movie, right?
It is but I don't know. I think they're ballsy. They make ballsy moves, man.
They've been getting ballsier.
Those two Russo movies are all just like Captain America movies. Both the themes of those movies, like, ever thought of
the
that
surveillance, Patriot Act sort of thing.
And also the idea that maybe the government that's protecting you doesn't have your best interest in mind.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was a really ballsy commentary to put in a kids Disney movie.
Which, to dab in for momentarily what I'll say later, is interesting for a company that so heavily supported the Trump administration election. Walt Disney gave $7 million to Trump and Paul Ryan to get him elected in 2016.
You're really gonna regret saying that whenever two guys dressed in suits with mouse ears on show up at your door, and put that dart in your neck like Michael Clayton, and put you in a bag, man.
I don't remember the name of the site, but just Google Disney political spending, and it's the first thing that comes up. It's a transparency site that was set up, I believe, as Trump was coming into office, so that people could be aware of where his money was coming from.
Right.
And Disney gave $5 million to Trump and $2 to $3 million to Paul Ryan.
I like the idea that like a lot of that money just had little lightsabers and Iron Man on it, like just stickers holding the bands of money together.
That's where as we were saying earlier, that's where my complete confusion with the modern world comes into play about Black Panther. I'm like, oh, every percentage of that ticket's gonna go towards Trump.
Hey man, if you gotta dance, you gotta play the game. You gotta play the game, brother.
It's just odd. It's very strange.
The themes that movie presented for the black community, like I love the idea of kids going to see that movie and being like, oh, going back to Killmonger, seeing like them represent on both sides of the plane. You have this one guy who's like, I don't know how to go forwards. I don't want to repeat the mistakes of the past. How do I become a king? Compliment with a guy like, oh, I can be king. I'm so confident I'll be the best leader ever. Why?
Trump it up.
Oh, because I'm going to trump it up. He's like, I'm going to... Like, when he says it straight up, we have to kill them, we have to kill their kids. I'm like, that's totally him.
Totally Trump.
And even the line where they're just like, this man just got here. Is there nothing we can do? It kind of sounds like he has no political experience. He's not a politician. Coming in, He's just this outsider showing up in Wakanda.
Yeah.
I thought those were genius themes, man, at time in a movie. Some kid's going to watch that and totally understand the message.
Sorry.
That's like pissing in the pool. That means that kid could get an idea to make an independent film that can go forward to become an amazing director.
I think I texted this to you, and I kind of stand by it, where it's like this movie to me, and again, we'll get into the actual movie itself, but the movie to me is like a Magic Eye poster, where it's like when you look at it, it's one image, which is great inspiration for young kids to have someone to look up to. God knows where that will lead. But the more you focus on it, you start seeing like things like the Change.org petition saying, well, these things you're presenting in this movie, why don't you donate a percentage of the profit back into the community? Disney gave them a giant middle finger and then threw $1 million to the Boys and Girls Club, which is like me asking you for a nickel. So it is that Magic Eye thing where it's like, yes, it is. I agree 100% that there's going to be kids that could change the world seeing this. But my worry is, as a bit of an outsider looking in, is that they're going to then see the horrible money-driven,
I hope they do, man,
rich asshole truth of it all.
Yeah, well,
and maybe that'll be extra.
It'd be an incentive. That's what I like to think. That's what I'm hoping for. Because I agree with what you're saying, man. There's no denying that. Like, listen, Walt Disney's not as squeaky clean as they pretend to be.
Oh no,
but
not at all.
The idea that. The cost benefit ratio on that one, I'm like, it's pretty goddamn good.
Was it?
It's pretty worth it. Like,
let's be honest, none of it'll matter because the world's ending.
And speaking on an apocalyptic note, that leads us to the
Infinity War. I don't know. I have a bit of a theory about this, and I don't.
Does it extend back to the first one? Because I really should have gone backwards.
No, it's well. Actually, we should talk about Black Panther as a movie itself.
Oh yeah.
But just to quickly throw in here, just to quickly throw in my worry about Infinity War is that they moved it back to be a global release on the same day, and from a business perspective, because now it's not coming out May whatever anymore, it's coming out in April. From a business perspective, that might be, and I hope I'm wrong, but that might be them avoiding a week's worth of bad press from overseas screenings. Because, I mean, think of the tightrope they have to walk with this thing. It's like 82 characters or something. Like,
insane.
It's
and they've been really quiet with this production. I haven't heard anything.
It's going to be shocking if it's good. And if it's good, it's going to be amazing. But it's going to be shocking if it's good.
Like, I just feel like, like, remember that scene in Ragnarok when, hey man, he shoots, Korg pops up on the bridge. It's just going to be that for 2 hours of different characters saving each other.
Hey, we got a spaceship over here.
Hey, it's me, Nebula. I just got here.
And that's my worry, is that, like, because they kind of fucked up Avengers Age of Ultron by overstuffing it. And this is, like... This is the turducken to the stuffed turkey of Avengers: Age of Ultron. So I'm worried that decision was made to stop bad press, because Disney they don't allow early reviews at all, right? They have what's the word they use? Where they don't. An embargo. They always embargo their movies these days. Because I think their thinking is if they do it with all of them, then no one will know if they're doing it for a bad movie or a good movie.
Gotcha.
So, I don't know. I'm
Black
a little
Panther,
worried.
did they have a
I believe so. I think it's usually like 2 or 3 days before the movie comes out. They're allowed to write about it.
Right.
They hold press screenings a week or so before, and then they're not allowed to publish.
It's good. They got
I'm worried about it.
They got a lot to do in this.
They got a lot to
flick,
do,
man. Like,
and
it's been an entire decade pulling to
Yeah.
one movie. It's
That's an
insane.
easy ball to drop.
It's kind of funny. I can just imagine everyone on that side of the production team just. It seemed like a good idea at the time making this universe, and then you gotta pull it all
together, and they're like,
and then when they got here,
"Ooh."
they were like, "Fuck!"
Yeah. Oh shit.
They just looked at the cast list. They were like, "This is gonna cost a lot. This is
Yeah.
gonna cost a lot of money."
Well, that's actually, to go back to Black Panther for a second, the effects weren't great, and I'm wondering
Yeah.
if they were siphoning off some budget for Infinity War.
I
For
would
the
not be
Infinity War
surprised
effects,
because
yeah.
like what drove me nuts about when I saw the cast list and just how much they were like
It's like
banking on this
82 people or something.
I'm like, they're gonna market the fuck out of this movie. Like I think it was almost $1 billion for just the cast budget alone, if I remember right. It was something ridiculous, like to pay everybody.
I think their production. I don't know, because their production budget was around $300 million, I believe, and then another like
300 million for
Yeah.
everyone.
Well, I think
much
everyone's
is
working to maybe. I don't know how the contracts work out, but I don't know.
I vaguely
Maybe
remember.
the
I could be.
production
Maybe
budget
I'm
was
just
just pure
totally
production.
spitballing numbers, but I could have sworn there was a figure like to pay everybody. It was going to cost at least.
But was that just someone working out their previous paychecks? Because I don't know if everyone was paid.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
It's not like Chris Hemsworth on Ragnarok's getting paid as much as Chris Hemsworth in
Infinity War,
That makes
yeah.
sense.
And Robert, because I know Chris Pine's done a few cameos for free. He did the Spider-Man cameo, and I believe the Thor 2 cameo for free.
Oh,
It didn't
yeah,
count.
that's right. That dorky ass Thor 2.
That was
It's-
my
it's
favorite end
hilarious.
credit thing ever. Where he's like, waiting. What is it? It's like,
Oh,
wait,
patience.
patience. Yeah.
I
Sometimes
love,
it doesn't pay off.
he's one of those dudes where I hated Captain America when I was a kid. I was like, the flag waver, I can't stand him.
But I like that he stands for what America's supposed to stand for.
Yes,
Now.
and
Yeah.
he gave that dude such personality. He's like if Luke Skywalker was really good at his job,
Yeah.
as this farm boy who grew up and he's like, no, I'm going to do it by the book. And I'm like, it's such a good performance. He's really good at it.
He's really good at it. And it's gonna be. I think everyone's gonna die in this, and not just from a story.
Except for
perspective.
Hemsworth, because Hemsworth after Ragnarok's like, I want to do a bunch of these now. Like,
But then even in the trailer, you see everyone he saved at the end of Ragnarok dead.
yeah.
So his whole
but-
race is gone.
Yeah, but
I think anyone.
Time gem.
You know what?
Time gem. I'm gonna
Time gem.
You can
That's
time
true.
gem. You can 86 of a time gem.
They,
You know that's gonna come up.
Oh, because I've seen there's images of Captain America in his first Avengers suit.
Oh shit! I didn't see
So there's going to be some
Spoilers,
time
Carson.
jumping.
Spoilers.
Oh, I thought that was all over the internet.
I didn't see that one.
Oh, sorry.
Well, now they know too.
Well, then you know too. Spoilers.
Spoilers.
I would guarantee though any deaths in this movie are not from a creative perspective, but they're from how much they got to pay the actors'
I agree.
perspective.
Downey's, I think, for sure out because he's been wanting out since Phase 2.
Oh yeah. And again, to not to backtrack on that spoiler, but like it could just be a flashback. You know, someone being like, "Those were the days." They just had
And
him
they
in that
did
outfit.
in Avengers 2.
Yeah,
That's true.
it could be one of those moments. Scarlet
Yeah.
Witch fucking with his head or something.
That's true. It's interesting. I mean, they got a lot of fucking shit to do in this last one. I don't know if they're going to be able to... I don't know, what's a satisfying conclusion point for all those characters?
I know.
They all want to kill... Well, 3 of them want to kill Thanos. You
Yeah.
got Drax, Nebula, and... Well, just 2.
I think it's just 2. And then Avengers 1, and then there's 2 prequel movies, because Ant-Man and the Wasp takes place before Avengers 1, and whatever the other Marvel takes place before Avengers 1. So there's no actual continuity that takes place between Avengers 3 and 4. The 2 movies that are being released between those 2 are set before Avengers 3. So it's starting to get confusing. It's starting to get like comics in the 90s.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's getting a little confusing now.
So that's why Ant-Man is going to be... Ant-Man and Wasp is going to be before Infinity
It's set
War.
right after Civil War.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with Infinity War.
Nothing at all. So whatever happened, and then what's the other one? It was
Captain...
no, Miss Marvel, whatever that.
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. Yeah, she's set in the 90s, so it's a pure prequel story.
Okay.
So it's getting confusing.
I mean,
it's starting to get convoluted.
yeah, it's starting to get tight in that little ball they built.
Mm. But the Marvel as a whole, though, destroyed movies. Kind of destroyed movies. It's going to keep destroying movies. Because
I'd like to think
everyone's trying to do their own universe.
I like
failing.
the idea of just but that's all giant studios, and I think the more they just lumbering throw dollars at stuff, like I'm listening.
It destroyed theatrical movies. Let me addendum.
Yeah, exactly. Like the way
movies.
theatrical blockbuster movies are structured, I agree 100%. We had Transformers 14 coming out next month.
It's like McDonald's bought the industry.
Like Michael Bay's literally like, I can't make these anymore, and they're like, we don't care. We're gonna keep making them. That's the world. Like I get that.
But I don't think it's sad to see the independent cinema boon from like the 60s and 70s, how it's been utterly throttled to death and murdered by Disney.
I'll say this much: I love the fact that at least is advancing the technological scope. Like the more crazy batshit stuff you come up with in a major production film, it enhances the little guy a little bit more. Like every time I watch a independent film these days, I'm like, these are like. You ever watched Atlanta? With Donald Glover's Atlanta?
No, I keep because season 2 starting.
Oh now. Yeah, I just started.
It's one of those things I keep meaning to, and then I don't do it, and then
it's
I'm like,
beautiful. You can tell they were just like, let's go buy a drone from Best Buy and film some like shots, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
The shots in this thing, I'm like, this is like cinematic. This is better than some of the Marvel movies I've seen.
Yeah,
and
I gotta watch it.
It's really pushing the game of the people on the peripheral. And I think that's the best part about like these movies, like people trying to universe build and chase that one solid idea. It's making television and like other genres better.
Right.
And then sooner or later, if we wait long enough, who knows? There might be a brand new, completely original blockbuster that comes out. We're like, oh, a breath of fresh air.
I hope so.
You know,
man, like so, it's all about brand awareness now. Everyone's terrified to spend 200. That's the thing about the Marvel bubble is that it's gonna take one bomb to bring down the whole franchise because they're spending upwards of $400 million.
I can see them slowly going down, like especially with Phase 4 and onwards. I can
people
see
not caring as much.
Yeah, exactly. Like once Iron Man's out, people are like, where are we going?
But it's such a dangerous, like from a financial perspective, when you're spending $200 million on your production budget, $150 million on advertising, you got $350 million, which means you have to make a minimum of $700 million to break even.
I know, it's insane.
It's one movie bombing, and it's like a Jenga. Boom, the whole fucking tower falls. So it's such a bubble right now.
The thing is what I never understood is why they always constantly inflate how much they put into advertising. This is the most boring podcast ever. How much they put into fucking advertising. Like, they literally will spend like 1.5 times the budget.
It's usually about one half.
Is it one half?
It's usually half. If it's a $200 million movie, they spend $100 million on advertising, which is still $100 million.
That's a lot of money, man.
That's like a GDP of some countries.
It's insane. Just to put ads on buses and the Hulk on your 7-Eleven cup, and I'm like, oh my god,
fucking crazy.
But I guess that's how the game works. Is you have to oversaturate the market. I
remember there was a documentary about that where they spent their entire budget on their marketing to see if it was all about marketing, and they made a lot of money. So it's less to do with the content and more to do with the Slurpee cup at 7-Eleven.
Totally.
And that's really fucked up.
I noticed that whenever Justice League was about to come out, and I saw like 0 posters. I saw more Wonder Woman posters than I saw Justice League posters.
Nothing.
Because you could tell they were like, we're not going to spend a dime on this. Are you kidding me?
And I know we both have penises, but I'm going to reference a female's perspective on this. that the ladies in Black Panther were more empowering than any fucking DC Wonder Woman movie has ever been.
Are you talking about the Dora Milaje?
Yes.
Wakanda forever.
It's like all the, and then do you remember when they had the Zack Snyder Amazonians in Justice League and they all look like strippers?
Yep, motherfuck those Amazonians. Dora Milaje forever.
But yeah, no, it's like
you can't see this, but I'm doing the Wakandan salute.
Those female warriors did more for women empowerment than
it was beautiful, dude.
Than Wonder Woman did.
I have the soundtrack and that part where General Okoye is on the balcony and she whips the spear, and there's just like this really like staccato like chanting like cha, cha, cha.
Okay.
And she's just beating the shit. That was one of the moments where this new level of my brain unlocked. And I was like, oh, you can do this with movies.
That score was awesome.
It's pretty metal.
I've been listening to that score a lot.
I've the Killmonger theme.
It seems like Marvel got the note that their music sucked.
Yes. Oh my god, I'm so glad you liked it. Oh, I was so worried you would hate it.
Oh, I love the score. I love the Thor Ragnarok
give the dude props.
score.
What's his name? Ludwig.
Ludwig von
The
Beethoven.
Ragnarok score, the crazy synth shit.
Yeah,
I
it was
think-
Trent Reznor did Ragnarok. Fucking awesome. Yeah, and Spider-Man: Homecoming I thought was a great score.
What I love is like they're really dialing in. What gives me hope for the future Marvel movies is they're dialing in on personality and
Yep.
making it resonate through the movie.
And they're actually like, I think they're slapping their composers' egos down a little bit by being like, "This is the theme for Thor. Use it in your score.
Yeah,
I know you didn't compose it, but we need that."
But
connection.
you're like we didn't invent Thor. I mean,
Right.
and we're making a movie out of
Yeah.
it. So come on, man, bend a bit.
Use the themes, because the themes are starting to be reused now, and that's great because it creates a layer of connection that's subconscious.
Yep.
And
that's what's
amazing.
that's what's really been missing in those movies. Like I was just watching Iron Man. I know it's really simple, but that da 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 da.
Oh, because they've never gone back to it. It's
Oh,
the Iron
it's-
Man 3 theme, I think.
They use that one. I
Yeah.
think it's not sure. I can't remember who does that one. But like it's all right. But I kind of miss that really basic. Like it really
Iron
delivered that.
Man.
Oh,
Iron
dude! It's
Man,
like this
yeah.
dude's gonna punch you through a wall. Like
Yeah.
it communicates that character. All the ones since then have been really triumphant and sensationalistic.
Yeah.
I'm like, it sounds like the Iron Man sequels.
Exactly.
Never really gave him a core theme. Like Danny Elfman gave Batman a core theme,
Yeah.
and like it resonated through those movies.
Which kind of ruined Justice League, I think, because it was
Oh, yeah,
as
that's
much as I love those themes, it was so. Justice League sucked. I'm gonna go ahead and say that.
I don't think you're breaking any new
Any
ground
new grounds by saying that. Justice League fucking blew. But what added to the bluiness of it was using Richard Donner's old John Williams Superman theme and Danny Elfman's Batman theme.
Was he think it was Elfman?
Elfman fought for it. He
Yeah.
said in one of the makings of he fought for it, and it's like, they don't fit this world at all.
No.
Like Hans Zimmer's interpretation of Superman's theme would have worked so much better. Even though the movie was shit, it would have elevated it just a smidgen.
Yeah, I do like that Superman theme with the drums. It's a good one.
Yeah, it's great.
But yeah, Ludwig Göransson. I hope I'm saying that right. That guy, he's a Black Panther composer.
Yeah.
The Killmonger theme, I think, is one of the best synthesis of a character where I'm like, you paid attention to since like Darth Vader's Imperial March.
It's just like how I can't even hum
it's
it, but
I sing it to Davey all the time. Bam, 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 bam.
Bum, 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 bum.
Oh, dude, because what I love about it, it's all
Yeah.
the perfect beats of what that guy is. So he's Wakandan who's been abandoned in America. So it sounds you have those Wakandan like kind of chanty, screamy flute bits.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it starts to get like this hip hop beat into it.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, he's from Oakland.
That's from his Oakland
And then
thing,
all of a
yeah.
sudden it turns into this big band, almost like Shaft, like
Brum,
with the
brum,
horns.
brum,
I'm like, yeah, because he's a comic book villain.
a
Oh
comic
my
book
god,
villain.
they nailed it.
Okay,
dude.
hold on. Spoilers again. If you haven't seen Black Panther, turn this off. But they shouldn't have fucking killed him.
No, I agree. Me
But
too.
then again, in
But
the
you
Marvel
can't-
world,
you
he might
can't-
not be dead.
But in the Marvel world, you might not be dead. It's true.
Yeah.
But I gotta get it right, man. You can't take away that line of
Oh, throw
bury me at the bottom of the
of
ocean with my ancestors, dude. That's one of the most metal things a black person has written, said since like Martin Luther King or Malcolm
Rather
X.
be dead than live in chains.
I wanted to stand up and applaud in the theater when I heard that. It hits me in a weird spot, that line where I'm like, it's beautiful. That is a fucking genius, beautiful sentiment. I've never been so divided on a character where I'm like, I agree and disagree with this guy at 50-50. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Insanely well written. They're getting good at that, being like, let's give these villains some depth.
Some depth. Yeah, because Hela had a lot of depth. I think.
Exactly.
Everyone shits on Hela.
I love Hela.
But I love Hela because she represents the atrocities any great nation has to go through in order to become a quote-unquote great nation.
You don't, yep.
And as soon as you have to face those atrocities, the nation ends. Thus
It was
Ragnarok.
It was a little camp, but I did love the imagery of like her knocking down the
Yeah.
paint, and there's like the exact same
yeah.
portrait, but it's
Evil.
horrifying, and it's her at the top. I was like, that's a little like
It's true.
they
That
literally
was
just
a-
painted over it.
That was
but-
a great commentary on the
It was
fact that
awesome.
like once America has to start dealing with its past,
Yes.
it's kind of the end of America.
Exactly. Whenever
Ragnarok.
whenever you start sitting there and being like, "Oh my God, there's a bunch of racists here," I'm like, "How do you think we built this country?" Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, you reap what you sow. It's all coming to the forefront now.
And
I
also,
love that movie. Like, I agree. Like the undertones of that movie about what she represents are really
Marvel's been starting to do that.
They're getting really pronounced.
I say they are still a little broad, but like
because every now and then they do like, "Hey, let's do a John Hughes movie with
Right.
Spider-Man."
But also I always chuckle, and I'm gonna throw this out there of the middle-aged white guys are really planting their virtue signaling flag into Black Panther, and it's adorable. Like, this movie deserves all the Oscars ever. It's like, It's just
chill.
It's just
the,
chill.
The plot, when you like I said earlier,
We get it.
if you put it down on paper, that plot's a little like
It's a little thin. We get it.
Burn it all.
Yeah.
All of it. Hey, she's stealing some shit. Is that going to come in handy later? I said burn it all. When I say it,
yeah.
I mean that shit. And I'm like, okay.
But all that aside, I love that Marvel's stealing back their Johnny Storms.
They are stealing back all their Johnny Storms.
We got a Captain America. Yeah, Captain America Johnny Storm and Killmonger Johnny Storm.
That's too fucking funny.
I guess if you want,
Michael B. Jordan's gonna get me to watch that Fantastic Four movie. I don't care how bad it is.
Have you
will
not
watch
seen it?
No.
Oh shit.
Of course not.
You know, here's a good rule of thumb for it, because basically Josh Trank made a movie and then Fox went back and reshot half of it. And when they reshot half of it, Kate Mara, I believe her name is, who plays Sue Storm.
Yeah.
She is in what looks like it's from a dollar store Halloween shop wig.
Oh no.
So when she's in her dollar store Halloween shop wig, it's the reshoots.
Gotcha.
And when she has her normal hair, it's the actual movie. And it is a horrible
it's
movie.
her Superman's lip, if you will.
Yes, it is the Henry Cavill's wiggly lip.
I saw the footage of that in HD. Oh man, it's terrifying.
Because I don't understand why he looks like a rabbit with his
because
teeth
they
sticking out.
thinned the lip out way too much.
Because he's like this.
Yeah,
He's like he has dry mouth.
A little bit. And also, like, whenever you clench someone's top lip like that, it automatically makes him look a little bit more aggressive.
Oh,
So
like,
he looks weird.
He looks like an inbred white guy mixed with Bugs Bunny.
Or like
his teeth are just fucking.
Or like the creepiest dude flirting at the club.
Yeah,
he like curls his up and like,
hey. What the fuck? Can you animate a lip onto there?
Who the fuck is gonna find this guy heroic? That is terrifying.
Well, Zack Snyder made sure no one would find him heroic. But there's someone did that online. They took the mustache out themselves, and like this just dude on his computer made it look better than Warner Brothers did. It's a great little video to watch because you're like, oh, this actually looks acceptable. Why did Warner Brothers drop the ball on this so hard?
I really love the idea there was some Paramount executive who just had a grudge against some guy who fucked him over from like 20 years ago. 100%. And he was like, I've been waiting for this day.
Because they could have put a mustache on him at a third the price, and it would have looked 100% better. You know it was just some petty dick measure.
It was just like a checkmate.
You know it. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Well, he's under contract with us, so go fuck yourself.
Remember back whenever I first got started and you said I'd never cut it in this industry, Ted?
Yeah.
Paint over the fucking mustache. Go fuck yourself.
Enjoy that. Add to your budget of this bloated monstrosity.
How's Wonder Woman 2 going? Not great, huh? Fuck you. How are they doing on Wonder Woman 2?
They just cast Kristen Wiig as the villain, and that's...
that could be actually kind of cool.
Really? That's gonna be... Is it gonna be like a comedy? Because like Kristen Wiig isn't the greatest dramatic actor.
I would like to see her drop in some dramatic shit.
It's gonna be weird. That seems very topical to me. That seems DC missing the point of being like, well, who's a famous woman? Yeah. Let's cast her.
Who was the villain? Oh, it was
It was
Cersei, not Cersei's.
The God of War.
David Thewlis.
Yeah.
I guess I can't see him as not just
he's
like
so
I
just,
love
yeah.
David Thewlis. Every time I see him,
the
I'm
God
like,
of War.
I know.
No.
The silliest part is when he peeled his face and his mustache came out. I'm like, you look like a Monty Python character.
You are adorable,
yeah,
sir.
I know you look
adorable
like
villain.
I was waiting for him to say big nasty teeth. Like you look like you're in Holy Grail, man.
They should have had one scene where Wonder Woman was standing there and he was running to like and then it cuts back and he's still at the same spot running. Hey. Is he? Oh, okay. No, I don't know. I'm not a fan of Kristen Wiig. I don't really enjoy. Like outside of her, like she's great.
You're insane. How dare you, sir?
She's great in great movies, but her herself.
Bridesmaids.
Yeah, Bridesmaids is great.
Oh God.
Ghostbusters, on the other hand.
Hey man, the Ghostbusters. That's like
Wonder Woman 2
Black
is
3.
going to be a similar studio mandated production though, as Ghostbusters. Like Wonder Woman 2 ain't going to be some sort of like groundbreaking cinematic adventure. It's going to be a boardroom made hunk of crap for DC to make money.
I wonder. Yeah, I guess. I mean, that'd be the only way they could save it if they gave Patty Jenkins like full on Dark Knight rights, where they're like, go nuts.
Just go and do whatever you want.
Do what you want. Yeah.
Well, then we're going to get Point Break 3.
Oh, dude, that'd be awesome to see where Wonder Woman fires a gun in the air and goes, ah!
Shooting at Kristen Wiig? That would be amazing. That would be actually amazing.
I don't know, post Phase 4, I don't know where they go with it.
Yeah, the bubble could pop. The bubble could definitely pop.
I think Homecoming, I really like what they're doing with, like, Spider-Man, I think, is timeless. That's like their hugest character. They're going to keep that going as long as humanly possible.
And they're not including any elements that have already existed in Spider-Man.
They got a lot to. They got to do Scorpion. They could do the man.
I think it's more legal reasons though, because they have to negotiate every single character with Sony to use. So I think they're really trying to steer away. And Sony may still pull the plug and go, "Oh, our contract's up.
How does
Thanks
it
for
work with Venom." Like
Venom is still Sony's 100%.
But like Tom Holland's in it and everything.
That's just still rumor if he actually shows up or not. But they own Tom Holland as well. So the contract is that Marvel gets him in a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, which are the Avengers film, and then Spider-Man: Homecoming 2 are technically Sony movies that they've handed over production rights to Marvel. And then when Homecoming 2 is done, that's it. So if they don't renegotiate a contract, they might pull him back and say,
do whatever they want.
"Yeah, thanks for fixing our brand.
Yeah,
Bye."
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm sure Marvel will be like, "We have our money. We can just do Miles."
Yeah. Well, I think Miles falls under the umbrella though, because he was
he?
introduced in because it's their contract is that anyone introduced in the umbrella of Spider-Man comics is property of Sony in perpetuity. So Miles is owned by them too.
Okay.
So it's interesting. Anyways,
who's your favorite superhero? Thor, Naked Thor.
Naked Thor is been voted as the greatest Marvel Cinematic Hero. I think by all of us. I'm gonna go with Naked Thor as well.
I would pick Naked Thor.
Chris Hemsworth is cut yet thin. It's weird. It's like I want to really just jump on him.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? That's the point.
I mean, it's the Asgardian way.
And in a completely non-forced-in way, check out Space Action Heroes at www.spaceactionheroes.com. Enjoy the comic, guys, because it encompasses and embodies everything we've just been talking about. I've been drinking. I apologize. Is that sort of...
That's how you end it.
Dun, 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 dun.